I'm a singer.
What do you like most? Things that you like?
I like kids a lot.
But on the BBC documentary Lewis, Martin, and Michael, an adult Terry admitted that one of Michael's calls went too far.
But in 1993, two papers ran the story that Michael had been masturbating during one of their phone calls.
Parts of the story are true. I would say majority of it's true. It's quite unfortunate, really, that somebody wants to focus on a 10-second part of a conversation, well, 3-minute part of a conversation.
Because Michael's psychological growth is stunted at a pre-adolescent age, his sexuality is stunted. Pre-adolescent boys will have some mutual sex play. There's some of that is healthy up to a point.
This should not be going on, y'all. I don't know what the hell. That was really old. You could actually, in that portion right there, everything's all kinds of wrong. Okay. Anyway, so apparently that happened. And then the guy himself is like minimizing that he did that, right? So then now he's out perpetrating on everyone. So I guess the next story was, which we only found out recently, was that he went up to Leif Garrett and then asked him, can you teach him how to masturbate? No, he knows how, because he'd be doing it all over on the phone, on all these things, right? And so people are questioning, like, do you think that little innocent thing is just, a character, playing, the innocence? I go, yes. Also, on the thing where they're stuck in the childhood thing, I go, they're just basically breaking down, like, the real pedophiles, like, their brains, like, going for little kids like that. And then, but on top of that, they're like total sociopaths. Like, they cannot connect with other humans, like this whole other thing. And the way that they view it is so off, completely off. But the other problem is that everybody minimizing it is allowing all these little boys to get totally molested and harmed sexually. And then she's like trying to normalify, like, boys raping each other. That's what we're talking about. I go, oh, you guys don't understand. You don't understand how bad it is actually that all these men actually got touched. And the perception of it, oh, it's totally normal. Oh, our kids are just raping each other. Hey guys, it's totally fine. And then they're out raping us, right? So it's this whole thing on it. And I was like, yeah, in his story, it's totally religion. It's 1000% religion is to blame for a lot of this stuff here. For a number of reasons, like they break down the rule things and all this other stuff. So people, it's so weird, and then they'll go run to their religion, after the fact, and I'm like, yeah, but you're gonna be hella effed up, because that's the whole reason why this is going on to begin with. Like, really, it is. Anyways, I wanted to add that on there because what the hell? What the hell? I don't even know when they made this because it was for vh1, and of course all the fans are like, it's just this, that, and everybody keeps telling you, that's just a stage persona, you guys. We talk to him. He doesn't talk like that. So it doesn't matter. Nobody, and the thing is that all these perpetrators, if you go into their story, is going to have a background story. Is going to be something similar. Some bullshit in their home. And then they go and perpetrate on people. But throughout this whole thing, even on the stories where they're talking about him, they don't care about the victims. Like, the children are emotional pet supports to run around with. They don't care about the psychological thing on those kids. Like, the kids are like, yeah, we were like close for a while, and then he like jumped me. I was like, yeah, what guys do this? They do it to women all the time, right? Because they're socios. They don't have any connection to you. And so he's doing it with children in the same way, which is worse because they're just developing, right? And they're like, I don't understand. Well, this guy got really, really close with me and then jumped me, like, I cheated on him or something. Yeah, and everybody's like, oh, you gotta understand, Michael's a total F up, he wants to be a child. And we don't care about you all. Everybody's manipulated. I was like, I'm not manipulated anymore on that thing, but I'm just saying that everybody's manipulated. I just think it's crazy that some psychiatrist, whatever, she's like, these prepubescent boys are molesting each other, but it's totally normal up to a point. I'm like, I didn't touch no one, prepubescent anything. But that's totally normal. They're going to touch each other for a while, because probably their daddies and everybody else has been doing that, and we just ignored it. Okay. We looked at it as nature. I don't know. I don't know what the hell. Y'all be touching each other. See, you guys are the ones with the broomstick. Y'all got touched. You were the first to be touched probably over some women. Then they turned into rapists. And then they're like, this is totally normal. This is totally normal. It's totally normal for these 2 little kids to be rolled around in a sack, okay? They just gotta learn. I cannot deal with this. VH1. Somebody just brought this story up. I was actually looking for something because I was trying to figure out, like, when this picture was taken. Because it's part of the album that I have. And the guy in it, well, kind of reminds you of Scott Baio. It's kind of funny. But he's also like they look around the same age. Like, we're still trying to figure out who the person is, and they can come get the album. I'm more than happy to remove everything. Would you want me to, though? Because the public should see these, but I don't know. Am I gonna get in trouble? I don't know. Anyways, this story is new to me. Very new to me. I was reading something and they said that Leif made this allegation. I go, when? That's weird. I didn't see that. So I guess right before or during the start of COVID, or right, that in 2019, I wasn't paying a lot of attention to the media then. I think I was, I don't know what the heck I was doing right here. It feels like life stopped, and then I didn't pay attention to stuff, and then all of a sudden I paid attention to something really quick, and then the world was all crazy. It was strange. Anyway, he put out a book. It says, Michael Jackson asked Leif Garrett to teach him how to masturbate. Garrett's book reveals. I was like, that's very helpful to know. I didn't know that. So, I don't know if you guys know. So, I love that song, the dancing song. And I was going to actually cover it and then redo the music a bit. And then they were not letting me record. There was a whole thing up in here. And then I ended up doing, it was an atrocious mess, okay? It was an atrocious mess. Garrett reveals the story in his new autobiography, Idle Truth, a memoir, Leif Garrett. Jackson was 3 years older than Garrett. He was 20 at the time, and Leif is basically a minor, 17. He was the age that I was when I got totally raped up in the house, okay? Michael Jackson is an adult. Goes to Leif, who is technically a minor, but Leif was the biggest star. He was the biggest star. Michael is fanning over this big star. So this is interesting in this dynamic. Leif was a golden teen pop star with his, with his Surfing USA, Round Sue, and I Was Made for Dancing. That was his best, that way, Okay, already worldwide hits. Michael was yet to make his solo breakthrough with the album Off the Wall. But as a kid, his solo hit with Ben, Got to Be There, Rockin' Robin, the change with Don't Stop Till You Get Enough was yet to happen. So he wasn't that big at all, you guys. The pair met while both on the road and touring the world and became close friends. The lesson took place in Switzerland in February 1979. And over here, like the Golden State Killer be running around. A whole other thing going on. Garrett reveals in the book that Jackson approached him one night in a hotel bar. And why is Leif in a hotel bar, right? Isn't this weird? Anyway, and asked, can you tell me how to masturbate? Can you believe this? I don't think Leif is lying. It's just, what the hell? Like, something be totally screwy in his brain. Like, even here. Like, it would show up as we were talking about this stuff, I go, oh no, it's going to show up like really young, dude. It's going to show, it wouldn't have just showed up as, you know, in 1984 or something. So it does help. That's what I'm saying. Like those type of things, it helps because it's saying there's trails, like there's a thing here. Then he goes, Garrett gave Jackson a key to his room and directed him to his stash of naughty magazines for inspiration. Jackson went off to beat it. I was like, what the hell? Jackson is old enough. He was like old enough to go buy his own adult mags. So what the hell's with that? Like the family though, they're overly religious. And that's probably part of it in this thing because he's just so just so ignorant, naive. But also it could be some people were doing this game with them. I don't know. It's a very strange thing because even if you were that naive, you guys, you would be really intimidated to just randomly go out in the middle of somewhere and ask somebody that at random. Can you teach me how to do this? It's just, I don't know. I never had none of my friends be going on like that. Now they pulled out stashes though, their mom's video thing. And I found somebody's magazines, but it wasn't like we were all doing stuff together. And I go, oh, can you guys teach me how to do this? It's like, what the hell? I would never ask anybody that. Garrett gave Jackson a key to his room and directed him to the stash. Garrett had taken 40 years to tell the off-the-wall Jackson story. Leif makes no judgment about what went down and explains in his book, admitting that as Jackson is not around to defend himself, he will make no assumptions on Michael's true intentions. It doesn't matter what his intentions are. Unfortunately, they didn't have this conversation with young boys back then that they can be preyed on by adult men. It doesn't matter what his MO is. It's absolutely insane that he did this, and it's gonna explain his character more on these older allegations and the newer ones that he was acting about. And maybe it was one of those things. I would almost think like that story right there, like if it happened way back in like 1979 and then these stories came up, I don't know if it would have been the first thing that popped into my head. Because you might have, like, brushed it off as, like, typical, like, I don't know, some weird behavior of young guys. But then again, maybe it was there, but then he felt like it wasn't as important or relevant to bring up at the time of these cases and stuff. Because it could have been helpful. I don't know if that story would have been helpful in the 90s. Because they totally whitewashed and brushed off all this stuff. But right now, it's very relevant. It's disturbing. You have to sit with the type of person that would do that. He went up to a kid. He's basically a minor. And at 20 years old, he's asking a kid that. So it's not like the perpetrator has to be like 30 years old to be a perpetrator. They're actually always a perpetrator. So they were a perpetrator as a kid. So just because he's 20 and he's 17, it doesn't change the fact that the person is a perpetrator. But that's how they do it. So it goes like this. I'm writing now because I think I can finally make sense what happened to me over the years. Yeah, because maybe he has a lot more. I didn't read his book, but they said something about Robert Downey Jr. I was like, don't even. But again, these are all men, so they're not being degraded on by the other gender like that. I thought about it for a long time, but I needed the right amount of distance from all these events. And this will be a book about what it's like to be turned into a teen idol, a trip deep inside the machine that will reveal what it truly feels like to be transformed into an object of insane desire and adoration. But it's also a book about a little kid that just wanted a normal family. It's about the ravages of drug addiction and celebrity culture. It's about lost youth trying to be an artist and also fighting for control of one's own life. It's not all going to be pretty, but it's going to be honest. Garrett is also happy to be working with this co-writer. I met Chris 2 years ago, and we bonded immediately over music. Growing up in the 70s and more, but especially music, he totally gets where I'm coming from as both a writer and a friend, and how we are crafting this book is a story in itself. Okay, so listen to Leif Garrett's podcast with co-author Chris Epstein. That's how ridiculous, that's how cult-like the public was. The public, women were meant to be dumb. Like, just understand this. Men dictated the education for women, and they were kept dumb. I mean, dumb. That's why when I was listening to Justin's mom, I'm not calling her dumb. We both had ignorance in us when we were kids, and they tried to keep education. They try not to educate us a lot, so they felt like it would corrupt us, and like we would go out going having crazy sex with all these little jobs. I don't know. It's really weird. So like I have this thing because they're blaming us for all this conduct, and yet they didn't teach us the conduct. And then men were being taught this conduct. So they were being groomed and molested and all these things and being raped into, in their childhood. And then they're off doing that conduct to us. That's kind of the cycle of it. It's pretty crazy. And then, you'll get this mix of things with just a lot of different things in that, but just ignorant. But the men were dictating that. They wanted women to stay at home and have babies. They just sat there and watched this crap, and their brain is like, Jesus wouldn't allow anything. They love Jesus, so they're good people. Like, that's exactly how they judge. They judge. They're the biggest judgers out here. As long as you love Jesus. But then they would turn around and be like, you don't love Jesus enough. Like, there was a whole inner war with this too. So you don't love Jesus enough, and everybody's really satanic and being taken over. Even though, like, the mass population was the Christian cult. And everybody's getting molested up in here. Yeah, and I'm just like, they flipped it all to shit. Okay, Terry George is the best example to use as a starting point to convince others. His explanation is bulletproof. Any grown man who talks to a child at that age should never be around children after that. It was like a phone conversation like me. You called, we started chatting for hours. I'm going to talk your ear off. The Brit claims the adult star would phone him 3 times a week at 9 p.m. on the dot. Terry said he'd often ask if my parents were in, and when I explained that they had gone out to play bingo, he would relax. According to Lewis, interview, Terry had racked up a $300 phone bill, and his parents cut the phone off. It sounds like me, man. Okay, but a few months into their relationship, Terry claims Michael asked him if he was masturbating before then, allegedly telling the schoolboy that he was pleasuring himself. Terry told ABC he spoke about masturbation, about him masturbating. Did I masturbate? The property developer said, then suddenly out of nowhere, he asked me if I masturbated and that if I did I use cream? I was puzzled and said no. I said I didn't know what he meant. When I paused, he said, would you believe that I'm doing it right now? And I can hear down the line that he was making strange noises. Terry said the incident made him feel confused and uncomfortable, and he claims that he knew Michael could sense his unease. Terry said the next time he met the superstar face-to-face in 81, Michael acted cold towards him. I have no idea why his attitude towards me had changed. Michael strongly denied all allegations of sexual abuse made against him. During Terry's conversation, he avoided some of the questions. It was well documented and blamed a friend having a big mouth. He did, however, say parts of it are true. The majority of it's true. It was a bit sensationalized. It's not something that I want to regurgitate. He did say that he didn't feel any grudge against Michael and said, it's a shame that we don't have our friendship still and we aren't in contact on a regular basis. But why would you want to do that if the guy's like doing stuff on the phone? I mean, he feels comfortable talking to a young boy because, okay, so the young boy is not like an adult, right? Where the adult's going to be like, F you, blah, blah, blah. He's talking to a young boy and then he's acting like he's all innocent, but he's doing something so manipulative and then chronically doing it. Because as you see, it's not something, oh, I don't know what I'm doing. Because if he did it here in this story, and then you go back to the Leif Garrett thing, it's him acting innocent and stupid, like, can you teach me how to do this, kid? And then, but he actually knows what he's doing. Do you see it? Like, it's this game. But I'm wondering if the game, I'm trying to figure out, the game could have been started by his brothers, maybe his dad to the brothers, and then that way, or the dad to him, or another random person.